So you were like, all right, my first deal, I'm going to get 300 acres for $5 million. First big deal.
Yep.
And I got to the point where I can find my buyers because I bought a bunch of tykes.
So how did that all get transpired? No, so
everything that you're saying is like a snowball and hell chance of working out.
Yeah,
it was. For our viewers, like, don't try this as your first deal.
Yeah.
Maybe don't.
No,
Whatever works. Get some tykes, get some ease. Go talk to Ryan.
Throw money away, people. Throw money away.
Just talk to Ryan, like risk it.
Yeah.
Go fly to somebody's house.
Yeah, I didn't think about it in that way. I didn't think about it. No, I like there was way more that happened during that whole time. But one of the things is I started learning from more people like Ryan. So I was starting to learn from, even before this, I was learning from Jerry Norton and Pace Morby and people like that. Ryan was just another cog in the wheel. So I was like, okay. At some point, I realized that none of these developers are going to buy it. There's problems with this property that I didn't see going in that I would have never seen, knowing what I know now. And so I was like, well, if I still want to make this deal happen, I got to figure out a way to take it down. So we actually got a creative deal on it. Got the seller to finance 90% of it, and he just wanted 10% down on a 4-year balloon, no guaranteed payments for 4 years.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so I got to come up with 10%. And we actually renegotiated, bought 222 acres instead of the full 300. He wanted to keep some, so we got all the way down 3.7 million, and then I just had to come up with 370,000. Plus, I needed closing money, all this, right? Mm-hmm. So when I started going in, actually, I met Ryan the first time in the boardroom, and I was like, hey man, I got this deal. Like, I just pitched my shot, right? And he was like, cool. And he kind of walked away, and I was like, damn, I spent $62,000 on that, And then I pitched it again the next time I was there, and he's like, hey man, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm trying to close this deal. And he's like, I get that, Evan. He's like, why are you talking to me? And I was like, aren't you the guy? I thought you were the guy. And he's like, dude, there's so much money in this room. Go talk to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you bought this for networking. Go network. And I was like, you're right. And like, at first I was mad. I was like, what a stupid advice. Like, and then I was like, oh, you're right. So I went over and talked to some people, and I pitched the idea of it to them. And one guy was like, dude, I'll give you the whole $700,000. And I was like, cool. So then I went back, had it on a soft commitment. I was like, close the ranch, ended up putting it in the contract on the seller finance that I can list this property, kind of like a novation. I can list this property as soon as we have it in writing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I signed the contract one day, listed the next day. The following day, somebody came in and bought 60 acres for $1.4 million.
Wow.
And we closed in 60 days, right? They wanted to close in 5. Mm-hmm. They knew they were getting a hell of a steal. Like, I was just trying to find a way so I didn't have to bring in that private investor and lose half my deal. So they got a hell of a steal in the 60 acres, and went to closing table. Ended up did some renegotiating with John, the seller, and ended up not bringing any money to the closing table. And they actually paid me through a partial double close $300,000. And that's how I paid back all my debt with that. Paid back tykes, got straight, and